Hello, my friends, and welcome back to Learning Torah Lishma. We see something very interesting. In the olden days, 100 years ago, and back, not too long ago, parents, they knew how to bring up their kids. You didn't see all these issues that they have today. Teachers, spiritual teachers, they knew how to bring up the children, how to bring up the next generation. Today, anytime there's difficulty and it goes on for a little while, they just say send them to a therapist. They have no idea how to bring up the kids. You pay so much money, the government pays the school so much money, and they don't know how to do anything. Even when the kid is obedient, even then they do a horrible job. The kid still doesn't know anything. You understand? What is going on? So we're going to talk about the first aspect of why can't they be mechanech the children? Why can't they do proper education? Why can't they educate them in a proper way? What happened? And today, the teachers, they look at themselves, and we're also talking about, people that consider themselves to be Rabbeim and Moras, Ravs and Rebbitzins, v'chulei, they make it sound like when they suggest a therapist, it's like that they're smart because they're suggesting the therapist. If it gives them like a certain status if they could suggest the therapist. It makes people be machshav them more, respect them more. That's how they do it. That's how they project it. And it's the opposite. If you need to say, if you can't do the job, that means you're stupid. That means you don't know how to do it. Right? It doesn't mean that there's anything special about you. You understand? So, today's share is going to be no therapist, rather kindness. What does this mean? The pasuk tells us when a person is working on himself to become a godly person, to get out of a bad situation, what does the pasuk tell us? Sur meira va'aseh tov. Avert yourself from doing the bad. Position yourself that you're not being constantly tested to do bad. Stop doing the bad thing and then start to do good. This is the secret of life. Now, we're going to explain it in another way. We're going to ask the question in another way. Why do we see that now the person's at the therapist, right? Usually, people are sent there for very stupid things because, very things that, why did you even think to send them there, Because the people in charge are extremely foolish and unwise. So, so a lot of the times they send them there, they're there for a little bit, they leave, and they think they did something, and then life just goes on because it really wasn't necessary. Everything works out, you understand? But it had nothing to do with going to the therapist, and it had nothing to do with anything that the people that are educating them did. It's just the children go through phases. Now, and this happened to be a short phase, so it just, things continued. However, we do see that people, on average, people are more hurt, but more bad things come from going to a therapist than good, in average. And we also see another thing, that you have people that they're claiming, they're swearing that the therapist is helping them, but the thing is, They went to the therapist and they never left the therapist. How could everything be so good if you're not cured? Meaning you never left. So what's going on? Meaning, if a therapist is supposed to solve the problem, so why isn't it getting solved? People go for the rest of their life, for years, seeing the therapist. Now, of course, we understand there's negias there, there's, subjectivity, the therapist gets money because they have patients. So to cure the patient is counterproductive, So usually they figure out ways to keep the patient. They find this, they find that, they claim this is an issue, that's it, and they just keep the patient. You understand that the patient, most people aren't too bright, and the therapist has this well, I'm going to a therapist, so now I can do whatever I want because I'm going to a therapist, right? And I'm taking my pills, so if I by mistake kill someone, it's not my fault. I was taking my pills, so this is like the attitude. And this is what's happening. So what's the pshat? What's the understanding? Why isn't why aren't people that are going to the therapist, why aren't they getting healed? The answer is very deep. Let's take it step by step. In life, lots of times we're trying to figure out things, and sometimes we forget that Hashem is the one that created the world, and He created a method of how things work. Ignoring that is where that's the issue. You understand? Ignoring and not searching for the method of which Hashem made His world work, and just talking about evolution and thinking things are random and that there's you have to figure out everything by yourself, and there's no divine seder order to things. This is what leads to complete confusion, complete just leads to what is today. Let's put it that way. But we have to understand that Hashem made the world work in a certain way, and we have the Tanakh. We have we have Mishle. We have clear, and we have the Torah Sheba'al Peh. We have teachings of God and teachings of Hashem that He's telling us the way He created the world, the way He made things work. And a secret that lies in His words all over. One of them is the pasuk Sur Meir V'asitev. It doesn't say have a therapist in between. You understand? It just says stop doing bad and do good. That's it. Very simple, method. If a person wants to heal someone or themselves, all they need to do is start to do chesed, to start to do kindness. The way Hashem made the world is that all the issues you have do not get solved by you focusing on yourself, rather with you focusing on other people and helping them. That's how things get solved. That's why Hashem made it. That's the way Hashem made it, that it works. And the more intense, God forbid someone's going through a situation, the more intense it is, the more they have to do chesed, the more they have to do kindness. You understand? If it's so intense, then they should go fly out to, in Florida had the tsunami, just fly out there and go help people. The more intense situation, the more intense you need to do. And that's how you get out of it. Sitting and focusing about yourself doesn't get anywhere. Hashem made it that using that energy to help other people, that's how you help yourself. This is the way Hashem created the world. Olam Chesed Bana. Hashem created the world to do kindness, right? How does goodness come to the world? Because Hashem does kindness with the world. He continues its existence. He makes sure everything is balanced. The oxygen in the air doesn't get too high, doesn't get too low. If it gets too high, then someone lights a cigarette and the whole block goes on fire. If it gets too low, people can't breathe. Hashem is constantly doing kindness. By Him doing kindness, that's how everything happens. You understand? That's the way Hashem made the world work. And that is the way it works by us as well, of course. That the helping other people is how a person gets out of it. Now, it's important to mention that chesed, doing kindness, is not just doing free kindness, which is also important that a person should do, but also when you make money, when you're servicing people, and you're helping them, when you service them, and now they help you by giving you money, and now you're able to take care of yourself and your family. There's double kindness in that. In work, there's double kindness, because the other person is also doing kindness back to you. So when you purchase something, the person selling should have in mind, I want to help other people. And the person giving the money to buy the item, right, they should have in mind, I'm giving this person money, so they should be able to take care of themselves and their family. You understand? This is how Hashem created it. Doing for others is how all the situations get fixed. So all these Rebbeim and Moras, all these educators, from people of tremendous high stature to people who are just beginning, you understand? This is how you solve every situation. You get the child to do, you give them chores, you get them to do kindness. Kindness is the most powerful thing. You get them to do work, make a little money. You do these three types of things. There could be, of course, other different types of subcategories. But the idea is kindness. Kindness could be making money. Kindness, could be doing chores. You understand? But you get them to do. Kindness could be the way most people think of it also. But remember, there's all these other aspects are true as well. Doing kindness, just doing kindness. Volunteer to volunteer to Tamchei Shabbos to help them do the boxes. Do kindness. Get them to do kindness. Pay them to do kindness. Get them to do kindness. And that's how you solve every situation. This is what the great educators of old knew. All the great tzaddikim and rebbitzins and rebbes, you understand? This is what they knew. You get them busy doing good things. Asay toiv, do good. You get them busy doing good things. Good things is kindness, because everything that you do good is kindness. There's different forms of it. There's a free type of kindness. There's ones that people pay you type of kindness. You understand? There's ones that you help your family type of kindness. That's called chores. You get them to do kindness. You give them responsibility and kindness, and this changes them rapidly into a exemplary young adult, into exemplary young child. This is how you do it. And now, therapist became like this magic word. You have an issue, send it to a therapist. Why? What does the therapist do? Sends them to a different therapist. I don't know. Just gives them a little wooden rocket ship that they could build. I don't know. You understand? Everybody makes it like that person has the solution. If you don't have the solution, then you're not a teacher. You're not a Rebbe. You understand? You're not an educator. You're not a Rav. You're not a father or a mother. If you don't know how to educate, then you're not yet an educator. And if that's what's needed, then you're not that yet. You got to learn what to do. You got to learn what that is and how to do it. And here we're teaching you the big secret. No therapists, but get them to do kindness. Kindness changes a person. Physical acts of kindness. Now, this is extremely important. Now, people are going to say, well, isn't learning Torah the greatest thing? You have the Litvaks, the Greece. They're going to say, well, isn't learning Torah the greatest thing that you could ever do? So I just want to say that there are stories with Tzaddikim, and both by Litvish and by the Hasidim, that helping someone who's in desperate need of help, let's say a mother, a single mother, we're not talking about she got divorced, that she also needs help, but this scenario was that her husband died, and she has kids, and she's about to be thrown out onto the street with her kids. Helping her out, helping someone in desperate need, could be even greater than learning Torah. Understand? Certainly by Hasidus, this idea exists, and also by Litvish, and I'm sure by Sephardim. So that's first of all. Now, usually the chesed that you're doing is not at that, it would be a big schus to be able to do chesed at such levels. No one should need it, but the people that need it, hopefully, everybody would want to be able to help them. You understand? But usually it's not that. But there is a difference between learning Torah and doing chesed. There is, when you do chesed, you help someone. There's that emotional connection of helping someone. When you learn, you don't have that. You might have the emotional connection of learning with someone, but that's not the same as that emotional interaction, connection that you're having when you help someone physically. You understand? And you see it. You see it happening. You see it. It's there. You understand? Now, maybe if you're Chaim Kanievsky, learning Torah, it's such a reality to you that it would be the same effect. It could be, you understand, but almost no one is Rav Chaim Kanievsky. Probably 95% of the people aren't, 99% of the people aren't. You understand? Almost no one is. So we got to look at reality, who we are. You understand? But this is the secret. This is the secret. Doing chesed is how you solve every issue. Now, it can be sometimes the person went through some type of trauma, something really severe, that they first need to just talk about it. They first need to just say it. But quickly from saying it, after they talk about it, you need to guide them to do chesed. You understand? That's a very niche situation, that's not the common situation. There is something like that, Then there's also another thing, if a person has a word, he doesn't know how to fix it, then talk to other people and you'll figure out how to fix it. You understand? Also, that also applies to these it could be like a severe type of trauma situation that the person needs to just talk about it. You understand? There's people that go through, people went through the Holocaust and they didn't talk about it. In fact, they didn't talk about it, and they just went into work and doing chesed, and that's how they cured themselves. You understand? So, people have to be, but there are these different situations. But for sure, this idea of going to the therapist and the therapist fixes it, You understand that usually you don't need to go to a therapist. Or you just get someone else that's very full of hearts, very full of love and compassion. They listen to the person, and then very quickly, you get them into doing physical kind physical actions of kindness, and that's how you heal them. It's amazing. That's how Hashem made it work. And I want to bring out another thing. There is there's a science coming out. We talked about that most people get hurt going to therapists. What does that hurt? They become narcissistic, because after a while, if a person just keeps talking about themselves, the whole focus becomes you. That's what happens. And instead, the focus is supposed to be others, meaning you. The main focus is to do chesed. We said there's different types of chesed, but to do chesed, and second of all, to do chesed to yourself as well. It's very important, right? Because it's the second in importance. It is important. You have to make sure to keep yourself safe and to protect yourself, absolutely. But the first thing is to do kindness to others. That's the way Hashem does it, and that's the way, right? We're supposed to go in God's ways. That's the way a person would do it. And it's just important to mention here that Chazal do tell us when we say go in God's ways, that's referring to when Hashem does kindness. But when Hashem does mishpat, judgment, that doesn't mean you should just sit and do judgment upon people if they, we try not to. Now, sometimes you do need to do judgment, and of course it would be wise to follow Hashem's ways. But when we say that you're supposed to go in Hashem's ways, it's referring to when He's, the chesed, when He's doing chesed, kindness, good. You understand? But when He has to do judgment, you shouldn't now also, when you see someone do something, you do judgment. You should try to avoid the judgment. Just important to mention that. So getting back, so thinking about yourself, constantly talking about yourself creates narcissism, and so therapists really not only doesn't help, but it actually hurts, because it makes the person narcissistic. It makes them focused on themselves. And this is a big secret. This is a big secret that people, we're here to help people that are righteous and good, people that want to be righteous and good, and they're being tricked by the Yetzer Hara into thinking that good is bad and bad is good. Where does the Yetzer Hara trick people? Usually in the gray areas, right? That's where the Satan tricks people. We're here to help people that that are good and righteous and want to do good and righteousness, and they're happy. And now that you let them know that this is correct and that's wrong, they're happy about it. Now they can do what's really right, instead of constantly being fooled by the Yetzer Hara, by the Satan, and constantly doing good while thinking it's constantly doing bad while thinking it's good. You understand? Now, there's other people that they don't care so much about doing good. They have other things covered, money, desires. They have other things. You understand? That's not who we're talking about. That's not the focus of our shiurim. Our focus of our shiurim is people that want to do good, people that want to really be righteous, and the Yetzer Hara is tricking them in all these gray areas. That's where we come to help them, and to enable them, to empower them to do the pure type. That's what we're here for. And with that, we'll let you know we love you all. Wish you all the best. I want to wish you an awesome day, awesome year, awesome life, and we'll be Bekesh. All the brachas.